CHES Ranchi University, Chief Scientist in Bisra Agricultural University Ranchi, and so on. He has won several awards, including University Gold Medal Award from NDUAT Faizabad, Bharat Jyoti Award, Bharat Gaurav Award, Dr. R.S. Parodha Award, and Indira Gandhi Maulik Mushtaq Lekhan Award in 2015. He is holding reputed positions in several professional societies, including HSI New Delhi, ISHRD, ISPGR, Member Educational Board, Indian Journal of Horticulture. His research area mainly relies in the field of horticulture, emphasizing mainly on the improvement of horticultural crops and production technology and development for resource-poor areas in integrated mode. Although there is endless to speak about the achievements of our eminent speaker, Dr. Nath sir, hence I would like to humbly request Dr. Vishal Nath to please share your valuable research insights with our attendees in order to help them in exploring and expanding their research in the field of horticulture. Please, sir, I would like to request, please enlighten the event, sir.
Sir is trying to join in a moment, so I would request all of you to kindly have patience.
कौन घेणार आहे का लेक्चर?
Okay, there is some issue coming from the sir side in joining this meeting. So we are just waiting for him to join here.
मला भी बोल. You are unmuted.
हाँ हाँ, अरे ऐसा है कि हमको ऐसा लग रहा है कि रफली रफली आप कैलकुलेट करोगे तो आप 1,20,000 काट रहे हो तो
Hello. Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Hello.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. You're audible, Dr. Arvind.
Dr. Vishal, sir. Sir.
Hello, Arvindji. Could you
Yes, sir.
hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are. Yeah. You are audible, sir. Without wasting much time, I would request again Dr. Pratibha ma'am to formally introduce Dr. Vishalnath sir. And since all the participants have already received an introduction of Dr. sir, so we are expecting to start this session as soon as possible. So over to Pratibha ma'am again. Thank you, Pratibha ma'am.
Thank you, Arvind sir, for providing me this opportunity. Again, as I have introduced, as I have said, lot many details about Dr. Nath sir. Still, I would like to introduce, on the behalf of Institute, I would like to welcome Dr. Vishal Nath sir, who has served as a director, National Research Center in Lychee, Bihar, since 2020, and he holds several awards. And there is endless to mention about our eminent speaker, Dr. Vishal sir. Hence, without wasting time, I would like to humbly request Dr. Vishal sir to please share your valuable research insights with our attendees in order to help them in exploring and expanding their research in the field of horticulture. So please enlighten the event, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to thank the team which has taken this opportunity to organize such a beautiful event of this faculty development program. And I am also thankful for inviting me as one of the speakers for this. So I thought I will be having some 1.5 hour time, but due to some technical issue, I could not join. So I think my slide is visible. Hello.
No, sir.
It is not visible.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Then I have shared it. I think now, is it
Sir,
visible?
not yet visible, sir.
Okay. There is some technical issue. I think this with team. I'm share open tha na? 1 minute. I am trying to do that. Sharing. फिर मतलब हो गया आउट हो गए ये है ना How it is visible? Hello.
Yes, sir. It's not visible yet, but I think you have started. It's
Yeah, I have started, but the only thing is that why it is visible. I asked for the mail ID can be sent and you can. The slide is already shared, but it's already seen. I think.
There is some, I think, technical issue there. So if possible, sir, can you please share it with Dr. Arvind, sir? So we will display it from our side.
I have asked his mail ID, but he has not provided.
Sir, I'm
Sir,
just sharing mobiles.
I will be sending the ये presentation कहाँ पर है वो? तो तुम दे सकते हो इसको? अरविंद इसको दे
sir,
दो ना?
I'm sharing my email ID there on WhatsApp group.
On WhatsApp, please send so that
Yes, sir.
yesterday you made this one ना, so I am इसी से कर दोगे ना? Okay. इसमें जाएगा पूरा कि नहीं जाएगा? ये इनका मेल आईडी खोल देते हैं ना? हाँ ये अरविंद कितना ये वाला इसको ये कर दें पूरा डिटेल करके कैसे करोगे @ क्या है तो आगे दिखा हाँ अरविंद कुमार छोड़ दिए हैं
Hi, sir.
Dr. Pradipam ma'am, your voice were in mute. Your speaker were in mute.
No, no, sir. I'm speaking to my colleague, sir, regarding PPT, sir.
Okay,
I'm
sorry ma'am. Sorry ma'am.
trying, sir, to display the PPT.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
You can talk, sir.
अभी ये शेयर हो पाएगा? हाँ. Hello.
Yes, sir. PPT is visible now, sir. Yes,
Now
sir.
visible, na? Actually, it was
Yes.
only net problem, na?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so I think I have sent the PPT to Arvind also. So if there is any problem, you can run standby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have received it from my side. If any problem comes, then I will continue.
So I will try to operate from here. If it is there is any problem, then please let me know. Okay,
Sure.
so friends, thank you very much for waiting. Actually, there was some technical issue here, the problem of net and other things. So without wasting much of time, I just want to come on the topic only. And the topic which has been decided is the precision in geometry of modern fruit plantations and canopy management for improving the productivity and quality of various fruit crops. So as we know that India is the second largest producer of horticultural crops, and we have touched the a mark of 320 million tons horticulture commodity production every year. Last year's data is 329 tons, out of which if you see that the fruits, vegetables, medicinal aromatic plants and many other horticulture commodities constitutes the total basket of this horticulture. And we are also having a liberty to be above the food grain production. Actually, there was a time at the time of independence and after that, we were struggling for our food. But now the nutritional security has become very important, and slowly we have been able to produce more horticultural commodities. From last 5-6 years, we are going ahead to the food grain production. And if you see the share of different components in this horticulture, the major share is of vegetables, which is around 60%. Then comes to fruits, which is around 30%. And rest of the things are other like plantations, spices, flowers, and so on and so forth. And similarly, the production and productivity of horticulture crops is increasing slowly and gradually over the period of time. And there are many states which are leading in various commodities. Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and others are leaders in this. But if you see the level of productivity in the country at present and the potential, so there is a huge gap. Say, for example, in temperate region, the apples, which are being produced at around 8 tons per hectare, but we can produce even more than that, around 18 tons, 17 tons we can produce. Similarly, in case of mango also, we are only at the mark of nearly 10, which can be doubled. Guava also, we are little comfortable in case of guava, but other fruits, there are every possibility to increase is by manyfold. Lychee is one of the crop where we are, of course, we are able to the native country China in case of productivity, but if you see the realizable yield is more than 20. Similar in other fruit crop like sapota and others also. So, in spite of good progress in food production, the productivity of the crop, if you compare in the country as well as worldwide, this is less. So, that is our concern where we need a precision. Now, while analyzing the various regions of low productivity, the nutrition to the crop is one. Water management and irrigation and other humidity management is another very important. And the plant health management is important. But apart from this, the basic thing is that planting of orchards and maintaining the plants to produce more is very, very important. because if your geometry is good and you have managed the tree properly, then only the nutrition, water management and plant health management works. So this is a very key factor, that the orchard geometry and the canopy architecture and management should be precised. So therefore, I have selected this topic, that how we can precise our planting geometry, how we can precise your the canopy architecture and management. So friends, the prevalent planting systems, why we are thinking to precise it? Because we have to increase the productivity per capita land available, because land is a shrinking resource. Day by day it is coming down, and our demand is increasing for fruits, vegetables, and many things. So in that context, we have to have more plants per unit area. And when we are accommodating more plants, then definitely we are going to have more yield. But the quality of produce should be of a standard, because at present day market, if you see, if there is no quality, you cannot fetch a good price. At the same time, we have to have the reduced level of pest and diseases on those crops, because when you will plant dense, I think there is every possibility to have a more pest and disease incidences. Then higher input resource efficiency, whatever the resources, be it water, be it nutrient, be it even pesticide, fungicide, even natural resources like light interceptions, light and other edaphic things which are available at a site of planting is also very, so we have to maximize the use efficiency of these resources and the other natural resources which are available with the site where we are. In the picture you can see this is a prevalent system of this planting at 10 meter by 10 meter, but in down you see this is a high density planting of guava, where we have planted in a double hedgerow system, a single hedgerow system. You can have a continuous row of the plants where you can harvest the fruits. So at present, as I told, the square system is quite prevalent, but rectangular system is also being practiced at some places. Triangular system, hexagonal, quinquence system, and contour system on the slopey land. So these are the prevalent practices which are being followed, but out of which the rectangular system or the single hedgerow system has been found very effective and very important for the fruit plant is concerned. So the options can be your square system with high density planting, where you can reduce the distance between the plant. Rectangular system with high density planting, as I said. The rectangular planting with support system, nowadays a lot of support system is available, like providing trellises, staturas and other niffins to the plants, so that they can have better spread. Double hedgerow system, single canopy with multiple root system, and ultra density planting for high input. So here I will focus the single canopy with multiple root system. And in down the pictures, you must have, you are seeing that either it temperate fruits like your peaches, apples, or maybe your subtropical fruits like guava or even lychee. These can be planted in single canopy with multiple root system. In other words, you can say the rectangular system with high density. Now these are the different sketches I have tried to develop: the square system, the rectangular system, double hedgerow system, and the single hedgerow system or single canopy with multiple root system, where we are putting the row to row distance is more and plant to plant distance is less. So there we can have more number of plants. We can use mechanization in that, We can use precise irrigation practices like drip irrigations also. Many more things can be integrated. The modern horticulture practices can be integrated. Now here is some pictures. These are all works which has been done. You see the in top two pictures are the lychee, where it has been planted in single hedgerow system, and you see the complete row is full of flowers and fruits. In middle you will see the apple which has been planted in single hedgerow system, and the other one is mango variety Arka Nilachal Kesari when I was working in Bhubaneswar. So we have made this plantation, and you see the quantum of dews. You see the quality of the dews. You see the light which is falling on the fruits, because light is very important for the color development and others. And downside it is a guava. So something like this can be only thought of when we have to have a precise planting system of the different fruit crops. You see the meadow orcharding is also a kind of a precision farming where you can plant dense plants, provide more inputs and produce more from less areas. Similarly, in case of apple, the multi-leader system, and you see the complete row is full of fruits. So here this row to row distance is more and plant to plant distance is less. So friends, this is the high time that we should think of precising our planting system, the plant geometry, so that we can produce more. Continuing to that, the other I have mentioned the support system like Y-shaped trellis in case of lychee, tatura in case of peaches, in case of apple also tatura can be practiced, and espalier systems which can be developed through the support system. Now if you see the yield, now you see in the square system where we are able to get only 5 to 6 tons per hectare yield. By adapting the hedgerow system, you can double it. By adapting the meadows, you can triple or make 4 times. Or by providing tatura, you can increase, I think, 3 to 4 times. So if you want to increase the productivity, if you want to increase the quality along with productivity, I think these planting geometries can be selected and can be practiced. Now, the second part, once you have selected the planting geometry, now every plant has its own and inherent nature of growth. So you cannot only suffice with the purpose that if you planted close and you will get more yield, unless or until you will not manage the canopy of those plants, you will not allow the light penetration inside the canopy, you will not be able to produce a good quality fruits. So obviously the canopy architecture and its management comes into the way. So once you have decided the planting geometry, means high density planting or even single hedgerow system or with single canopy with multiple row system, canopy management and architecture is inevitable. So here I have defined the canopy architecture, and that is designing the plants as per need. Your need is putting more plants per unit area. Using inherent plant characteristics, it's a vigorous plants, dwarfer plants, current season bearing plants, 1-year-old shoot bearing plants, like this, in accordance with the given set of conditions, whatever conditions you have been, the light intensity, the rainfall pattern, the wind velocity, and the resources you are having, drip irrigation you are having, or you are having a mechanization facility, so that you can make the plant to perform maximum. So that is the objective also of the canopy architecture. While management, a series of operations on the above ground portion of the plant aiming towards maximized production and quality per unit canopy area, means that whatever the produce you are going to get should be of high quality and of high quantum. So for that you have to manage the canopy, and this includes the structuring of plants, the framing of plants, providing crotch angles, and providing other kind of things which help the plant, because these plants are going to produce the yield for more than 25 years, 30 years, 50 years or so on. So base has to be very strong. The branches has to be very strong, because if you want to increase the light interception, you have to manage the canopy. If you want to have air circulation, you have to manage the canopy. If you want to have a desired fruit color and quality, I think you will have to manage the canopy and overall plant. क्या हो गया? नहीं वो शेयर स्लाइड शेयरिंग बंद हो गया ना. चल रहा था, ठीक था. That was good.
Sir, it is running in background. I think some window is hiding it. Some
Yeah,
other
I
room
think.
is hiding it.
Yeah. So this is all the means purpose or objective of the canopy management. Then continuing to that, what would be the potential effects that if you manage a bell canopy, you can have the interception of light, you can have a growth control, you can have a gas exchange manipulations, you can reduce the impact of pests and diseases, carbohydrate partitioning, hormonal balance, flower initiation, yield improvement, quality improvement, and if your plant become old, you can even go for rejuvenation. So here I would like to throw some light on various aspects of canopy architecture and management. Now you see, this is a plant. Now you have to design the canopy. So precision is required that a plant should have, if it is in a square system, it should have 4 branches. If it is in a hedgerow system or a single canopy with multiple root system, it should have 2. So both the cases I will deal. And the precision is that the branches, because at one point you can have only 360-degree angle. And if you consider the crotch angle from the base to the branch, I think that is also very important. So you have to make your plant architecture in such a way so that the crotch angle should be more than 45 to 60 degree. So in that cases, you have to I have just made some sketches, and then I have translated into the plant for better understanding. And this has been done when I was working in NRC Lychee. And you see the plant is getting maximum light. And you see here in 4 pictures, the down left side picture is from Thailand, where the productivity is quite high. And you see the light interception which is falling on the branches, the kind of crotch angle which is there. So they have a better architectural design. They have precise method of the allowing the branches and so, and others are from our country. So we have learned from the developed country or developing country or a specialist country that the precision in canopy architecture is very much required. And you see, while precising this, I think if you are here, I will take little time to just get you into the subject. That is, suppose you have given a 10-meter spacing to the plant or any spacing to the plant. So the plant has liberty to grow in all the sides. So on one side, whatever the space you have given, half of the space is available for the plant to perform it. In most cases, what is happening is that the plant keep on growing, and at some point of time, it intermingles each other, and the interception of light is reduced, and the production and quality is reduced. That is happening in most of the high density cases. where the canopy has not been managed. So friends, I have just portioned the space, that is around 60% of the space. Your spacing, whatever is spacing may be, battery is low. Charge okay. Okay, so this 60% space you have to provide for skeleton zone. Skeleton zone means that primary branches, secondary branches, and up to tertiary level. And then there are 30% area which is for fruiting zone, and 10% area should be allowed for aeration zone, means that movement and other things. Now, if you are putting in high density, keeping this constant, you will be having more fruiting zone by putting more 30%, and the space use and assignment of this space for the various, yeah. Now, in that way, we have to be very precise regarding the branch angles, regarding the length of the primaries, secondaries, and so that in allotted space, we have to have all these orders. And these orders are first order branches, second order, third order branches, fruiting terminals. So I have just tried to give apportionment at different spacing. So if you are planting at 8 meter by 8 meter, what should be first order length, second order, third order, and this, and 6 meter by 6 meter, or 5 meter by 5 meter, or 4 meter, or 8 by 4, that is a rectangular single hedgerow system where you are putting 8 meter row to row and 4 meter plant to plant, or 6 by 3, or even wide trellis. So this is how you can have a precise length of this different order of branches and the fruiting area. And doing that, you will find that if you see, it is a typical lychee plant. If you see, the maximum fruiting area comes to zone 2 and 3, where you can have a maximum harvest. And if you are going to have 6 by 6 meter or 6 by 4 meter, so you are going to have more effective canopy volume, where ultimately you are going to get the yield with the panicles and so on. So this is how it is. It is a very important aspect of the precision, the canopy architecture as well as its management. So for that, I have just developed a ready to use system, that what should be the canopy architecture development plan. So if you are planting at 2 meter by 2 meter, your first branch should come at 20 centimeter, and the maximum permitted height to the plant should be 1.5 meter. Similarly, 3 by 3 meter, 4 by 4 meter, 5 by 5 meter, 6 by 6 meter. If you are putting closure plant, the branch emergence of branches should be lesser to the ground, because many times it has been seen that if we are planting close and keeping the first order branch at very height, so by making that angle, what I have shown in earlier slides, the intermingling become very easy, and ultimately your orchard get crowded and production get reduced. So here I have practiced those things in case of lychee when I was working. So you see, we have planted at 2 meter by 2 meter, and we have been able to harvest a quality fruit from that. Now, the other impact of this canopy architecture and its management is rejuvenation. Once your plant get older and older, more maybe the picture what you are seeing is a plant is more than 90 years old, and it has been rejuvenated. I have not given the entire story here. I have given only the rebuilding of canopy, and then you see the yield potential of those plants. So this is only possible when you have the idea of precision in case of canopy architecture and management, the branching, the other things also. Here, the development of frame is very, very important. You may encounter more number of branches with lesser crotch angle, but as ideal case, you should have more less number of branches with wider crotch angle as shown in the picture. To develop this, I think you should have a plan right from the first year of the planting. So you see, this is a long plant of lychee. In second picture, we have cut it at 2 feet height, and then sprouts came, and by management of these sprouts, we have been able to produce a good canopy within 2 to 3 years. Here is the same plant which has been shown you first, and it has come in this shape. Similarly, if you want to make it further to two lines, hedgerow system, you can go as it has been shown on the downside. Even you can head back and you can get the 2 branches developed. And the branching pattern should be like this. 2 branches, 2 primaries, and each primary will have 2 secondaries, and each secondary will have 2. So in that case, your entire canopy frame will be developed. But friends, it is very important to be precise in procuring the plants, planting the saplings, making the branches, and then allowing the first order, second order, or third order branches. In the developing stage, you can do by cutting and allowing. This is all done in up to 5 years of age. Because in the initial stage, if you make good frame, good branches, then only you can have fruits for the longer time. You see, there are practices which can help you in widening the crotches, like putting some rods or sticks so that the crotch angle can be. And one of my farmer in Kerala, he has devised a kind of thing to allow the how he can increase. In the corner you see, he is from Kerala, and he is trying to train the lychee plants in such a manner so that it can have a wider crotch and this. Similarly, the horizontal growth, if you are permitting the horizontal growth rather than vertical growth, you will find more number of sprouts coming on the branches. So these sprouts will in turn come to the fruiting. So you will have more fruiting area even in the main branches also. That we call it cauliflorous flowering and fruiting. So this is a standard kind of a plant where you can have 4 main branches. I will run quickly. This is 4 primaries with 2 secondaries. We have trained, you can make it training. And then like this, what you have seen, you can make the kind of center open plant and allowing more light inside. You can train the plants with 3 branches where the angle will be around 60 degree each angle. So that will give you, because you see, if your crotches are narrow, the crotch angle is narrow, means less than 17 or even less than 45 in that case, then only then it will have more breakage problem, it will have more insect problems and so on. So therefore, you have to have a wider crotch angle between the branches. The second part of that is that in the beginning you can provide the trellises. Like why say trellis we have given in case of lychee. And you see we are having 4 surfaces, 2 outer surface and 2 inner surface for fruiting. So here by adopting this practice you can go up to 24-25 tons per hectare lychee productivity, whereas the national average is around 8 tons, 7.5 to 8 tons. So you can imagine the quantum of yield, and then you can integrate the mechanization, you can integrate the mechanical irrigation system, you can integrate many more things in this one. And you see, this is how the things are being developed in case of lychee, in case of mango. In the downside, you see, we have been able to demonstrate these technologies to farmers, to the field, to the experimental areas. And then there are huge benefits. Like if you see, in case of square system, I have already mentioned earlier also, and here also I want to re-emphasize that if you are going to put Tatura trellis or even Y-shaped trellis in case of mango, what I did in Bhubaneswar. In case of lychee, the full yield potential has not arrived, so I have not given the figure. But if you see, it is much more the national average. And this is the type of plants will be developed when it is without trellis. You see, when you are providing trellises, you can precisely place the branches, whereas where you are not putting the trellises, the branches will take its own shape. But nevertheless, because to reduce the initial cost of the trellises, you can go by this method also, by training and pruning, and maintaining the same principles of growing the plants. And you see, this is the yield, how the yield are coming. So here a little bit I would like to emphasize that when you have an open canopy, so you have more light inside, the effective light and more leaf area, which will in turn will photosynthesize for the plant, and then plant will able to have more carbon reserves, and which will in turn convert into the fruit or quality of fruit or nutrition. So this is how. So in case of mango, to make it, I think I have shown the lychee. Here is the case of mango. If you cut the plant at the right place, allow the branches to come out and maintain the proper canopy, it can be done. In case of lychee, if you have open center plants, you see the final fruit retention per pencil, the last line is 7.2, whereas in case of non-center open plant, it is 2. So 0.2. So there is a huge difference in the productivity. You see, it is very difficult to open the center and take a photograph. So in the morning hours, whenever there is more light is coming, you see, if your plant center is open, you see how you can see the visual sky. So likewise, you can practice, you can suggest to practice the open center in case of, or you can train the plants in the beginning, from beginning itself. In case of your single hedgerow system, where you have provided Y shape, you see what I was mentioning, that 4 surfaces. You see in the inner part of the canopy, generally there is no fruiting in other cases, but in case of a single hedgerow with multiple root system and having open center canopy, you can find equally good quality, rather better quality fruits inside the canopy. So your yield potential will automatically increase. Friends, once your canopy is within your reach, once your plantation, now we are talking about the greenhouse plantations or net house plantations of various fruit crops. So once your canopy is within your reach, you can adopt many more practices like bagging. In case of lychee, it has given 40% more export quality fruits. But if your tree is long, you cannot go and do the practices there. So I have demonstrated here that in the lower canopy only you can bag the trees. So better to keep the plant lower, accommodate more number of plants per unit area, and then you can produce more. Similarly, for netting purpose also, you can net the entire plant to save the fruits from natural calamities, particularly the hailstorms or sunburns and so on. But it is only possible when your canopy is in managed condition. You see, in case of apple, now they have provision of hail nets, and downside the hail nets, they are growing the entire apple fruits. And you see the quality of fruits, it's a fantastic. This in Srinagar and other Himachal Pradesh where it is being done, this is also possible. Likewise, in you can accommodate more number of crops through intercropping if your canopy is managed. And I have given a list of fruit crops where suggested fruit, this one. And here is some picture for even if you have a mango in single hedgerow system, you can put the pineapple in between. You can put the Amorphophilus ole is a vegetable, this is a root crop, so you can also grow. The question is, then once your light is good, when your space is free, you can go for many intercrop, or even groundnut, or in case of aula, guava, or even fodder crops also it can be accommodated. So every inch of land can be utilized once you have a precision in planting the trees, precision in their canopy management, precision in their agro techniques. Similarly, other crops can be accommodated between the orchards for short duration, like guava and lemon, they are short duration. Mango with coconut can be accommodated. So these are the all practices. And in medium, this 8 to 10 years after the orchard establishment, you can go the partially shade-loving crops like turmeric, like your colocasia, like your ginger, in between the space. So here also you can make full use of the space. Here you can go for different crops. So because I have to finish it within time, so there are tremendous scope of the architectural design of various fruit crops. There are means decision making capacity in precising the planting density, in precising the plant spacing, adapting the system of planting for various fruit crops. And similarly, the architecture management and in different planting systems, in different crops, apple it may be different than the lychee, mango it may be different from the bear, likewise it has to be worked. And friends, we must remember that our population is increasing. Land is not going to increase. So we have to accommodate more, we have to produce more from less for more people. So we have to have the high density planting with well thought of canopy architecture and management, precision in all aspects of this growing of the crop and maintaining the plant health so that we can produce. So to conclude, the canopy architecture and management along with the precise farming is integral part of modern orchard operation and practices for improving the productivity and quality in case of fruit crops. So with this, I would like to thank you. I think I have not taken much of time. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to discuss the nitty-gritties of the planting densities, planting geometries, and canopy architecture management in various fruit crops. Now the topic is open for the discussion.
Now, I would like to request all the participants to please ask your questions if you have any, if you want to acquire any information related to the topic.
Pratibha ma'am, we can do one thing. Participant, those who are having any queries, they are requested to write their queries in the comment box. And we will request again to Dr. Vishana sir to answer your query, and we will try to forward those answers to you. So I think in that way we can actually save our time, and great thing comes at cost. So it is proven, and we are very fortunate to have you, sir, here in this FDP. And it was really, I think, worthy to wait for such a good lecture and informative lecture. And we are very delighted to have your expertise and opinion on precision farming. And we would love to listen to you again sometime.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Whatever questions comes, you kindly mail me. I will give you written reply, and then you can even publish, or even you can circulate among the participants, or you can include to your institute activity also. You can make use of, and I have already shared my presentation to you. So if you need to make it copy and provide to the students, you are free to do that, because we are teachers, we are professors, we want to have a spread of knowledge. The thing is that they may not be able to understand the entire things, because I have just given only the symbolic points. A lot of things are there on the field. So because the time was limited, and also it started a bit late. So, but you are free to call me or to send me, or sometimes if you want that we can have a further interaction and interactive session on these lines, because this is very, very important. The because our productivity has to be increased at any cost, and land is not going to increase, we all know. Rather it is shrinking day by day. So these kind of technologies, these kind of precisions are very much required to go to the knowledge of the people who are going to really practice, who are going to really adopt these things. So you are free to make a copy, you are free to have a distribution of these materials, and also if there is any query, I can give you in means I can answer all those things and send to you on mail. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. With your kindness, those who requires the copy of this presentation, I would love to send them through mail. So thank you once again, sir, for such a nice presentation and your precious time that you have spared for us. And we would love to listen to you again sometime at our institute. And we would love to welcome you here if this COVID pandemic is over
Yes,
soon. So we would love to
definitely.
have you here in this institute. So thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
कट कर दें यहाँ से ऊपर से.
Okay, we are about to begin with session 2, and for this, our speaker has already joined. So I would request Dr. Ramesh K. Bhardwaj sir to kindly join us so that we can begin the session 2 here. And all the participants, again, it is a request, if you have any queries, then kindly write it in comment box. And those who are facing some issues in joining this event, I would request that a mail has already been sent to everyone. So you can kindly check your mail, and you can directly click on that link to join the meeting through browser. On your through browser also you can join, and if you are having MS Team downloaded on your mobile, so that also you can join. So thank you so much for being with us. And now again I would request Dr. Pradima ma'am to kindly formally introduce the next speaker. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Irvin sir, for providing again me this opportunity to introduce our second eminent speaker. So, on behalf of Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, it gives me an immense pleasure in welcoming Dr. Ramesh Kumar Bhardwaj sir, who is the principal scientist in Dr. Y.S. Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry, Solan. He holds PhD in horticulture and has been awarded with an prestigious international DART fellowship for postdoctoral fellow from Germany. He has visited several countries and vast enormous experience in the domain of horticulture, including Germany, Netherlands, France, Austria, Belgium, Italy, Spain, and so on. He has more than 20 years of experience in research and teaching and has guided number of PhD and PG students. He obtained several grants from different government agencies, including Department of Science and Technology, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, and CSIR, ICAR. He has more than 50 research publications and published more than 30 book chapters. Also, there is endless to mention about our eminent speaker. Hence, I would like to request Dr. Ramesh sir to please enlighten this event with your insightful lecture.
Hello, good afternoon to everybody. I am audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir,
you're
you are
audible.
audible.
Okay, thank you. Myself, Dr. Umesh Bhardwaj, as Madam Pandey introduced regarding myself is much more than the what I have did so far. But the topic assigned to me, I won't discuss waste much time about the introduction of all these things, because I have already one more meeting with Honorable Vice Chancellor SAP at 2. So I have already discussed it with Mr. Pankaj or Dr. Pankaj. So topic assigned to me, that is regarding the practical cultivation of some potent high vegetable crops. So it's a little bit same to our earlier speaker, Dr. Nath, is a very senior plea. But I just want to make a mention here, as far as the protected cultivation of vegetable is concerned, it's really getting momentum these days, because we have control over the various growing conditions as far as the environment is concerned, very harsh or maybe uncontrollable contaminated conditions, or we can say with the global changing in the climatic conditions. So we have to have this kind of the cultivation as far as the precision farming is concerned. And moreover, we can have by these techniques the year-round production of the produce of some limited vegetables are really that are very, very essentially required for your proper growth and development, as we have malnutrition and so many other health deformities. So all these vegetables, particularly those vegetables which are very rich in phytochemicals and in antioxidants. And then by these techniques, we can have the quality produce every year. You suppose we are producing this tomato or producing capsicum, producing cucumber in open, we have much difference the produce that we are producing in the open field conditions. And with this produce, we can have more increase in the market for the availability of the produce to the consumer, and really the farmers, they are earning very, very good remunerative returns out of it, those who are really know about the in detail about the cultivation of these vegetable under protected conditions. Am I audible, please?
Yes, sir, you're audible. I
Okay,
just
okay,
want to query that is there any PPT shared?
okay. For that, I have to take the help of my colleague. But it's okay. In the meantime, we can continue. Then I will let you know more about these things. As far as the yield is concerned, we can have the quantum jump in yield. You can say that we can have 4 to 6 or even 10 times more increase in yield in comparison to the traditional system of the vegetable that we are producing generally under the open field conditions. And then we can have the proper use of the water that we are supplying through flood irrigation or by any other means of the irrigations. More and moreover, we are concerned about the limited use of the water through this reduced water irrigation that we apply in under protected conditions through drip irrigation system that we can have through drip irrigation drop by drops, and then we can have a limited use both by the fertilizer as well as by the this butter as a fertigation. Okay. Now it's okay now.
Yes, sir.
Then we have another points regarding this, the no chemical drift. Is saying properly, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Then we have no chemical drift as we are making spray of these plant protection measures and then all other chemicals or insecticide. In that way, we can have no drift from one polyhouse to another house, one field from to another house, or we can, by this means, have the control over the chemical drift. And then the last point that we can have these days, because in India we have more than 400 different private companies from different continents. Because in India we have a different agroclimatic type of the climatic conditions, and then we have here more private companies, and then we have the limited space, particularly in hilly areas where the most of the private companies they are looking after for the seed production or hybrid seed production of some of the temperate vegetables. So for that they need this cool type of the climatic condition, and that we can have possible only in the hilly areas. So in that particular conditions, we can have the edge over the place that here in hilly areas we can also use some of the temperate vegetable as well as in case of the some tropical type of the vegetable also, where we can go for the maintenance of the pure lines or the inbred lines that generally we are using for the seed production of hybrid seeds. So really we are making the use of the different protected structure that I will discuss in brief about the various type of the structure that we can have, or why that we can make the use of this structure for maintain of these lines for the hybrid seed production. Then one of the and the last most important thing that we have to be taken into the consideration regarding the protection against the abiotic and the biotic stresses, because whatsoever vegetable or high value vegetable that we are producing under protected conditions, uh, in outside we have very low or high type of the climatic conditions. Sometimes we have low humidity, erratic rainfall due to the climate change and all these conditions, and then we have sometime 50 or 100% crop failure or crop loss, and then sometimes we have very scorch type of the scorching heat in case of the particular really very some vegetables are very specific to temperature and then sunlight and then some other climatic requirement. In that case, you can have control over all these abiotic factors. And secondly, the biotic stresses we can manage easily, but it is also very vulnerable, the structure that we are using, because here we have only one environment or control environment. After 1 or 2 years or maybe after 3 years, the same soil, if we are not replacing it, then we have problems of soil-borne diseases. In that case, we have to have very specific about the management system or integrated system for the control of all these points, but that will be discussed in the next slides. But initially, we can have a very limited area under the protected structure where we have 400 square meter, 800 square meter, or for 1 acre and all that. In abroad, I will show some of the picture where the hectares together they have erected with the different polyhouses or the glass houses, and then how they manage properly with the grafted plants and all this. Then some of the most important steps that I have or we have to be taken into consideration while we are going for the protected cultivation as far as the precision is concerned, because we have a very limited area. It's not like the open condition we are keeping that much area for channel and all that, and every inch of land we have to have make in a very judicious way how to use it properly, and then how to manage the canopy as our earlier speaker Dr. Nath has elaborated about the canopy management. So important step that we have taken into consideration, the soil disinfection. Initially, it depends upon the what kind of the produce you are producing under protected conditions, where you are going for the organic vegetable production, or you are producing the inorganic or general productions, or where we are making the chemical spray, but we have to be make a very limited all these things. So we have to make this soil disinfection. As Madam Pandey discussed about me or regarding my this PDF, I have been there. So these people really they are very specific about the functional food from where they are getting the different nutrients and how we have to be grow organically produced vegetables under protected conditions. So for that, you have to have your soil free from the various soil flora and fauna, those which are causing various diseases and then insects and then soil-borne other production problems that we are facing. In that case, we have to go for the disinfection of the soil. And then some of the vegetables that we are generally or main vegetable that we are producing under vegetable under protected conditions, for that how we have to be raise the nursery initially, how we have to go for raising. It's not like that we have to go for direct sowing like this garden pea or French bean, or we have some okra or some other vegetables. Then regarding the hardening of the plant, how to make it hardy for transplanting into the main field. Before that, how do we have escape from these techniques of the hardening under the protected conditions, and how to make the plant more hardy to withstand the climatic conditions that we are producing. For that, we have to have give some shock and all that, and how to make it properly strong for further transplanting into the protected structures, or maybe from the outside under seed net or under polytunnels or some other protected structures. Then is production. Whatever vegetable that we are producing, you must have thorough knowledge about the crop when we have to grow it, and what are these production technology that we are applying. And then some other techniques that I won't discuss much in detail, but these days becoming very popular, the hydroponics and case of some leafy vegetables and some aeroponics. These are also the component of this precision farming. And then management practices, or particularly the plant protection, Maria was already discussed in the previous slide, because we have a controlled environment, we have a protected structure. It depends upon this the cladding material that how we are erecting it. the cladding material, that may be your plastic, or it may be your glass, or it may be shade net or any other thing. Accordingly, we have to go for the plant protection measures. It should be an integrated approach, because that particular structure is really sometimes very vulnerable to some diseases, because that see the congenial environment, both for the production as well as for the emergence of the diseases or the pest. So for that, we have an integrated approach for the management of these diseases of that particular crop, so that we can have the minimum the residue of the pesticides and all that. So the different protective structure that this case we are using, it depends upon the area where you are producing it, whether it in the plains or in the different regions, or as I have discussed you from the agriculture point of view, in India we have 15 different agroclimatic zones where we can produce the vegetable, or within hilly area. I'm just citing example of the Himachal Pradesh. In here we have four different agroclimatic zones, right from tropical, subtropical to temperate. Within the temperate we have dry and the wet. In that case, you have to go for the production of these, taking the use of all these different techniques for making the use of this mulching, and then where we are using the low tunnels and walk-in tunnels, and then poly house and net house and the shade nets. I will show in the picture and some of the examples that how we can produce what all these techniques helps in managing the crop and all that. So before we proceeding for taking the cultivation of any vegetables, or for going for the production of any vegetables, these are the some of the points that I have already discussed. But again, the planning is really very important aspect. Where you are erecting that particular structure, and then what kind of vegetable are you want to produce, but they are very limited vegetables. So accordingly, that is very important. And then frequent availability of the good quality of the soil, and then water, because we need a very limited quantity of the water, but need it at a narrow interval. We have to go to apply it very frequently, maybe through deep irrigation, or what it should be readily available over there. Then topography. We can produce it in almost in everywhere in India, but in every state or in every area, so we are having the different type of the structure where we have to go for this cultivation of this vegetable, and accordingly we go for the erection of that particular structure. For example, in NIET, Dr. DRDO and FRL, these two, they are really working for the welfare of that people of that particular locality, or for the defense purpose. They are producing some vegetables over there, and they are meeting their supply locally, and then they have their own structures, and then accessibility of that area where we are producing, the produce that we are producing, it must be having accessibility to the consumer, from where we can go readily and we can buy it. Suppose during the lean period or during winter time, we have some problem here, because in Himachal Pradesh or maybe in hilly areas, particularly in Uttarakhand, or we have in Srinagar, or in some hilly areas in Himachal Pradesh as well, we are able to produce maximum produce of the vegetable under the naturally ventilated structures, where we have no control over this temperature, particularly during the winter time. At that time, we go for the cultivation of some of the high value crops, particularly this coriander, and then we can have the production of this lettuce. So we have Chandigarh and some other where we have the mackerel and all that. We have readily supply, and really peoples, they are getting the good produce out of it. So it's the accessibility of the area. Although these days almost every this area or mackerel or which cities are there well connected, but you must erect that structure so that we can have the accessibility to the produce or to the consumer as well. Then good opportunity for transportation and marketing also, because these days almost whatsoever you are producing is easily, our farmers, they are getting good returns of any vegetable, maybe the potato or any other vegetables. But the produce that you are producing under the protected structures, it is of high value, really very rich in or in phytochemicals and antioxidants, and then having good development of all these components that generally required for the protected cultivation. Now, these potential vegetable I am just mentioning here in red color, the capsicum, tomato, and cucumber. Although there are some vegetables that we can produce, but it's a limited space. It's properly covered, and then we have some time control over temperature, and if it is totally mechanized or some are partially controlled, or if it is naturally ventilated. So accordingly, we have to go for the selection of these vegetables. But world over, these 4 5 vegetables are commercially being grown, where we have totally control over the environment, or used in the various forms, these vegetables almost daily, maybe in the form of salad, or maybe as a vegetables, or as raw, or cooked as a vegetables. And accordingly, we have to be go for the selection of that particular crop, and it depends upon the further the what kind of the mechanism or the breeding system. Basically, I'm a vegetable breeder. I don't know if you have any question. Breeding system means that whether that particular crop is self-pollinated or cross-pollinated. So accordingly, you have to select that particular crop under the protected structure. So this capsicum and then tomato and in cucumber, it is a cross-pollinated vegetable, and cross-pollination in this vegetable cucumber takes place through monoecious cucumber through honeybees, and honeybees they have a long flight. So under protected structure, we have a limited space. So in that case, we have the cucumber of parthenocarpic, that is having its ability by own, they can set the fruit by own this cross pollination, and then without pollination required, and then having the fruit set. That's generally called as parthenocarpic cucumber. Although we do have some other vegetables, some species, beans and peas and cabbage and cauliflower also, lettuce and coriander. And then the best use that we can make the nursery production by these protective structure. But mainly these 3 vegetables are commercially being grown. So before we proceeding any vegetable, it's a very important that I have already discussed the crop, but variety is again very important. We have the different type of the varieties, we have the different type of the genotypes, but that variety should have indeterminate type of the growth habit. That generally we are producing, because generally we want to prolong the harvest duration. हम कितने दिन के लिए we can have the tomato from the protected structures. So for that we generally go for hybrid. Why hybrid? Why not open pollinated variety? Because the open pollinated varieties जो है हमारी that are cheap, but hybrids are comparatively costly. But hybrids we can have uniform produce, and we have more prolonged harvest duration. So that for that you have to go for the selection of hybrid cultivars, and those cultivars which are really resistant to various insect pests and the diseases. And whatsoever produce that we are producing, maybe during the normal season or maybe during the off season. It may be normal for these areas, and but it may be option to the daily people. So accordingly, we have to have the ability to produce around the year, so it acts as the off season to the people. Because these days we are also getting okra here, although it's okra generally produced during the rainy season. So this is the beauty we can have by all these structure, and then these points you have to be taken into consideration regarding the recommended package of practice that I've already discussed, that you must have thorough knowledge about the what kind of the fertilizers, and then how we have to train the plant, how to manage it, and then timely management on the plant protection measures, and then we have to follow the integrated approach so that we can have the very less chemical residue and all that. You can see the general view of this crop, the indeterminate type of the tomato variety, very tall varieties, where we can have more fruits. And I will show you some more photographs, and then this parthenocarpic cucumber. And then in addition to white, we can have these colored capsicum. In India, these two type of these segments are very common and very popular in India, particularly in hilly areas. People generally they are producing it to the plains, and really the farmers they are getting good cumulative returns. But in Germany, I have seen 16 type of 16 type the capsicum segment have the people generally they are producing over there, and they are generally go for raw as a salad, not cooking. And then some differences. Don't discuss much in detail about this yield potential, about how we can have in open field in general that we are growing in the field and under protected structures. So it's really 4 to 6 or even 10 times higher we can have in case of the tomato, or in case of the capsicum, in case of the melon, where we can have even some grafted plants. Some of the private organizations like this one, really they are doing well in this field, and they're producing good quality of the planting material for the protected cultivation. So you can see the accordingly we can have this much increase in yield because initially we have initial cost more in case of protected structure. Just to compensate it, we have even yielding potential is also more. So regarding the classification of these greenhouse structures, we can have the low cost greenhouse structure, we have the medium cost greenhouse, and then accordingly the different type of the supporting structures that we are using. GI pipes are there, then angles. It depends upon the what kind of the material we are using. It may be of steel, turbine, or locally available material. Sometimes I have discussed, given the example of the lay, or maybe in some hilly areas, the people they are using it as of the bamboo. They are erecting their own structures. They are well versed with their own climatic conditions, what kind of the climate prevails over there, and how we have to erect their structures. And then the cladding material that I have discussed with you, how we erect that structure, how we cover that particular structure. For that, we are using the plastics, or maybe we are using some glass or any other mechanism or any other material. For that, the thickness of that particular material should be of 200 this micron. Then side beds, the sides of the structure that we have erected, half with plastic and half with net proof, so that we have the proper aeration, proper ventilation. Because like human being, the plants also they need proper space for from pollination and then for proper growth and development, all that. So sometimes we have make the use of these insect proof net. It depends upon the space. We have 40 mesh or 60 mesh are the more common. Then medium cost structures in the same way, where we have the system of exhaust through fans and the pad systems are provided, and they are really suitable for mild summer and mild winter, where we can make the proper use of all these structures and then control over the environment. Then totally controlled conditions. We have high degree of the climate control over all these automatic. I have seen in abroad, in even India also, we have in Delhi or even in Bangalore is a big hub for the steel production, or have various private company, or even in the Maharashtra, people they are having totally mechanized polyhouse. From sitting in the one roof, they are managing everything. What requirement of that particular plant is, whether it is deficit of water, or you can say is of nutrient, or what kind of the nutrient deficiency is there, or whether that plant is now reaching that senescence stage or the physiological maturity, and all these indicators, the sensor based, and then you can have that particular requirement of that particular nutrient and all that. And just showing the produce some of the quality of the tomato that we can have full of red color, it's rich in lycopene, and then we can have xanthophyll, we can have the luteins, or we can have the even chlorophyll. I will show in some of the picture of the case study that I have conducted in Germany in 2004-5, and then you can see the color element in case of the capsicum, and then you can see the uniform produce of this cucumber. It is a parthenocarpic cucumber produced under the protective structure. It's very juicy, but in India we have a different taste. We need the crispy and then the sweet type of the taste, and then we can have the watermelon that you can produce under the net house or in the seed nets. So these are the different structure. I won't want to discuss much in detail about the types, but maxi vent is there, and then saw-through type of the ventilator structures. Then we can have the gutter ventilations, and then we have the small polytunnels. These days, some people in Rajasthan, or maybe in our Delhi or Outer Delhi, or maybe in Haryana or some other places where we have with warm climate, during these days they are erecting this type of the polytunnels, or under the seed nets they are producing some vegetables, so that we can have early produce, maybe only by the 1 month, and accordingly we can have the advantage of that off season. And if that produces early, then we can have a more good returns out of it as a off season. Then some modified greenhouses, how they have modified its roof accordingly, and then side vent is low, and then from the center it is very high, just to manage the greenhouse environment. That upper space is acts as a buffer zone, just to combat that very heat or scorching heat. So it acts as a buffer zone, and then accordingly they have kept the provision for this area. And then these are the naturally ventilated structures with no fan pad and all that. Only drip they have installed inside, and you can see the sides they have erected with this nets or shade nets, or with the mesh of this 40 mesh or the 60 mesh for the proper aeration. And these type of the structures are more common in the hilly areas, so particularly in our state, in Himachal Pradesh, under this Deen Dayal Upadhyay, this Krishi Yojana, they have giving 70 to 80% subsidy to the farmers, and then most of the farmers, though, are really interested and they know the techniques how to produce the vegetable under the protective structures. They are really learning a lot. And then the with fan and pad system, you can see here this fan and pad system, it is installed inside the polyhouse and proper control over the heat and all that, and then how the nursery of the different cucurbits are the farmers they are producing. This picture I have taken from EU Ludhiana from Dr. Dutt, and then they are producing it in the plains. And then the cladding material that we are using for acting that particular polyhouse, maybe a polyfilm that are acting already discussed, but it must be have at least 2 to 3 years of the life, and we can have the transmission of the light 88%, and thickness that I have already discussed, the 200 micron, otherwise it's gas mutilated or better, but it should be the ultraviolet stabilized. In high reaches we have these problems. And then we have anti-fogging type things, so just to avoid the water drop, you might have observed it during this period inside the polyhouse we have this water drops, so that may cause some problems to the crop that we are growing inside the polyhouse. So just to avoid that, anti-dust film also, and then we can have anti-petal blocking sometimes the main apical poster that we are producing, or sometimes you can might have observed that we have this anti-algae just to avoid it during the rainy seasons, particularly inside the polyhouse. So this type of the property should have of that particular this cladding material that we are using, particularly of the plastic, for erecting that particular polyhouse. Then the comparison of the cost of the production of the vegetable under different polyhouses or the polystructures that we are using, whether it is a climatic control conditions, then you can see how much that crops we can take inside the polyhouse, particularly of the cucumber, 3 to 4 crops, and then for how much duration, almost for 1 year, 10 to 11 months for prolonged period, and then you can have the yielding potential, this much you can say. But its erecting cost is also very high. But semi-controlled conditions where you can produce all these vegetables, but comparatively its cost is also less, but you can have 3 crops, or you can also see the difference between the yielding potential between the first types and the second. And the last one that I have just shown you, the naturally ventilated structures, it is really working very well in the hilly areas, and then farmers they are getting this good benefit. Yielding potential is comparatively better, and then very less having is per square meter is erecting cost, and yielding potential just half. The hilly areas, particularly Himachal Pradesh itself, it acts as the natural polyhouse. We can say here we have the diverse agroclimatic conditions, but I doesn't mean that Himachal Pradesh में हमारे को polyhouse की जरूरत नहीं है, और people are really they are producing and doing well. But I have just made the comparison here of agriculture and horticulture and how they are providing this subsidy, and then sometimes farmers they may ask that जी इसकी लगाने की कॉस्ट कितनी है पर स्क्वायर मीटर एंड कितना खर्चा आएगा, so accordingly we have prepared it. Then you can see the different segments of the crop that we are producing under protected conditions, so the chocolate type, red type, and then different stages, and then you can see the red tips के under head that I have discussed with you. We must have the cultivars that must be in a position to produce that fruit at the very initial node. And then regarding the canopy management, how they have managed it, like that of your this tropical type, or sorry, like this the perennial type of the fruit. Just Nath had discussed about how we have managed to single stem or 2 stem. And then next important step after that, we have that structure. Then we have sterilization of the soil, and then we have the planting material, what kind of the variety should be there, and then what should the cladding material. After that, the most important particular crop during germination, during vegetative growth, or during flowering, the minimum and the maximum and the optimal, both during the day and the night time that have standardized. If it is there, then we can have reproduce like anything. We can have the control over, and how we can manage it under the protective structure accordingly. But this is the minimum requirement. So this is the regarding the package of practices. The farmers or a progressive farmers or a person who is dealing with the protected cultivation, he must and he should have the idea about the management of the crop or the package of practices of that particular crop, that how we have to grow that particular crop and what is the basic requirement and minimal requirement that of this temperature. It is utmost and the first the basic steps that require proper fruit setting and then flowering and then after that how we can have it. The varieties I don't want to make the mention of some private companies used to import it, but some private companies like this one and some other private company really they are producing the very good varieties and the material, particularly in case of capsicum, red cultivars and yellow cultivars I mentioned only here. This Oroville and Bombay and commercially being grown in India, and then in orange type maybe have the boxers, and then in green segment this Indra and Bharat. These are the two and very old varieties since the inception of this Indomycin hybrid seed company. They have released this variety and still performing better in some areas, and it can grow commercially both in open as well as under in the shade net condition or in the poly houses. And then here I have enlisted some of these varieties quite suitable for the cultivations, but here two, three companies, Nanhan, Syngenta, and Rizwan, really this private company, they are raising very good planting material exclusively for cultivation under different fruit color segment. We have red, yellow, and green and oranges. These 4, 5 are commercially being grown by the different farmers in India. Then regarding the training and pruning system, it's just like that your fruit crop or the lychee, you have a very detailed lecture. But initially we give the cut and remove the main portion and then allow the plant to grow into the two branches, and after that we remove the unnecessary leaf and then early fruit set, sorry, flower initiation and all that. We train into the two system and then we can have then the proper growth of that particular stem and allow the fruits to grow on these two stems, or even in the abroad or in Maharashtra or particularly in Bangalore, in single stem system is also very prevalent where we have the grafted plants. Or from the single plant, you can harvest even the 30 to 40 fruits from a single plant. So how this two-liter system works in case of the capsicum, how we go for sponging initially and then cut the main apical portion, how we allow it to go to the two systems, and then after that, how we go for training or splitting into the two main shoots, and then how we maintain the liters. And then 4-liter system that you can see here, this four, first, second, third, and the fourth, how we again we remove initially these and then allow the topping of these leaves, and after that the 4 strong shoots. Accordingly, we can see that maybe in a position to be that they are strong when allowed to grow and remove the another one and then be allowed. After that, we have this proper plant establishment. We have trained it. Then the amongst the various management practices are the most important that the proper khad pani, the nutrition, how we are applying. But in the case of the polyhouse, we are initially when we are preparing that particular soil in the inside the field or inside the protective structures, we allow the vessel dose that may be of FIM or NPK in the soil, and after that we go for the precision irrigation that we have to have through drip irrigation. We make the very judicious use of the water, very limited quantity of the water, and we make the use whether it depends upon the crop by adjusting its flow rate, either dip or interval, and all that is depends on the meter that we are using and crop particularly. And then advantage again, we have a limited time, more slides, but again we can have the higher end by this use. We can make the best use or water good efficiencies, proper use of the fertilizers. We have very limited weed growth and all that if we are applying the irrigation through drip by applying the mulch, and then after that we have less problems of insecticide and the pesticides, and then we can also save the labor and then the cost increase on the production. These are some of the fertilizers that we are using in the form of NPK. These all are about, and at a proper time I will provide you the write-up as well as this PPT you can have from me, no problem. And then how much quantity you have to apply per acre basis for 400 or 4,000 square meter area, how much quantity you have to apply per irrigation, and then how you have to apply and at what stage. Only we serve this NPK, and then after that we have K and then phosphorus, and all these are water soluble fertilizers that we are applying to this particular crop. Then how much yield increase we can have, and then how much saving we can make out of it. Water saving as well as increase in yield by applying this technique. It's not only in case of this protected structures, the crop that we are producing, but all the crops we can have. So these days, All India Coordinated Research Project, even the ICR, they are laying more emphasis on using of all these waters and all that. क्योंकि वो बोलते हैं कि अगला नेक्स्ट बार जो होगा वो पानी के लिए होगा. So every drop of the water you have to be make the best use of this water through irrigations. But it's really working well, particularly in the plains or in hilly areas. Sometimes we have this undulating type of the topography, hilly numa, जो सीढ़ी नुमा खेत हैं, that is really sometimes very difficult to lay it. But where we have some plain area, you can make the best use of this type of the irrigation system, so you can have good increase in yield or water saving. Then you can, after that, you can see the crop management, and then how we have this initial under protected structures, the profuse bearing of the food on every node by maintaining two-stem system or the single-stem system, and then the harvest produce initial, the first harvest, you can see of this transplanting, you can have 1, 2, 3, even 6 to 8 fruits in the first harvest, and after that you can see accordingly how much food we can have. You can see 6 to 7, even I have seen in Bangalore or in some other places in abroad, it's more than 10 feet, but here is from one project that I have worked during 2010 at IIHR. This is a person is these days working as a scientist of this, I think, vegetable crops. But at that time, in 2010, you can see inside the structure, you can see the single sense system, and then you can see this much, how much fruit set we can have, and then plant growth and how vigorous plant growth it is. And then you can see again the same point. You might be surprised to know that whether it is a bamboo or it is capsicum. It is capsicum, and we have harvested the fruit from the lower nodes, and we are moving all these leaves and then fruit nodes from the lower nodes, and only the upper portion, जहाँ जहाँ हम जाते रहते ऊपर को, only allowing those particular that plant crop tree, and then how we have this, and then we are moving lower leaf just to have proper aeration inside the polyhouse. No higher this temperature, no emergence of insect pests and diseases, means just to have the proper irrigation. So these are the some of the points that we have to taken into the. So you can see this not stand, but this crop stand inside the naturally ventilated practice structures at IIHR. And then you can see the colored capsicum. We are more concerned. The consumer really, those who are dealing with the business of the vegetable, they are more concerned about the uniformity. Whether we have the uniform produce, you can see its reaches, whether it is proper in size, shape, and color, whether it uniform. So this type of the produce. So definitely you will get the more and higher prices for this kind of the produce as comparison to the produce that you are producing in the open. And then similarly, in case of the colored capsicum, the proper color development. And then some grades, but I won't discuss in detail. Some of this slide I have taken from my PhD because I am actively involved in teaching of the vegetable breeding. So sometimes we have to discuss with our students what kind of the grades you have to have from proper seal of the produce. Whether it is extra large, then it should be more than 80 mm of its diameter of the fruit, and large, medium, and then chopper size. Then we have made the comparison of the some of the varieties that we are producing. The hybrid Indra that I have given in the list of the varieties, or the hybrid that generally or commercially being grown under the protected structures. And by growing this type of the crop, we can have the almost 1 year of this harvest duration. So this is the main objective of the protected structure, so that we can have. Capsicum in open field, generally we have a 2 or 3 month, hardly up to 2 month crop after transplanting. But under protected structure, if you are choosing the good type of the planting material or the hybrids or the grafted planting material, then you can have this very prolonged harvest duration, and you can have higher yield, or even the fruit you can have of more size, 130 gram per fruit, and then containing less number of seeds inside, and that quite suitable for your salad purpose. And I have already mentioned that some private companies, they are making wonder by producing the grafted plant. We have a good example in Jharkhand and some other places where some private companies, they are exclusively dealing on the grafting planting material for the protective structures, or some other places where we have the problems of soil-borne diseases. Every time we are using soil-borne problems and the diseases, in that case, only the grafted planting material is quite suitable, and really farmers, they are doing a lot. Then economics I have worked out, and there's some of the growing period that how in a year you can go for September, and then how much yielding potential you can have, or by using this capsicum under net house, you can also have this much expenditure for its construction. And then this is a little bit about the detailed the cost of cultivation, and then for erection of that particular material structures, our using different kind of the material. Initial आपका कितना expenditure होगा, for that you can have this write-up from me, and then I won't elaborate one line to line, but you can have about 6 lakhs or 6.5 lakhs for action of that particular structure in 1 acre of 400 square meter, and then you can have this profit from one tunnel of 4 square meter this much. So this is the comparison we have made by the different structure and how much initial cost we have to have. Then next most important crop is that of the tomato. Then in same way we have acquired the initial planting material, but you see Sona and Himsikhar have the or hills one, but we have some other from Rijwan and the Similas of cherry tomato. But this in Himachal Pradesh, in hilly area in particular, maybe in plains also. But these two varieties, both in open as well as under the protective structures, these are very, very common. Although there are many more, I am not popularizing or just making the advertisement of any private companies, but we have restrictions. But these cultivars I have mentioned here, really they are performing well. And then again, the temperature requirement, like your capsicum, the maximum, because it's having the adverse effect of high temperature on the fruit set, and then development of the color and all that on the different aspects, and to what extent it can tolerate. Then you are producing the tomato, and then we are harvesting the tomato from the initial nodes, and then we and then making a coil like this snake. So जहाँ जहाँ से fruit harvest करते थे हम उसको नीचे उलाते रहते हैं, and then we can have only the fresh growth and fresh fruit development, but this some kind of the coiling that we have made, we had some problems. So these are the some of the practices that you must know, that is known as the suckering. So we have to remove all these, and then crop support is very, very important, because you have to erect that particular binds by using different material. I will give you some case study. Then like capsicum, we have to go for training system, because it bears multiple branching, de-leafing of the lower leaves for proper aeration, and then fruit pruning, then and then it may go to the middle of that protective structure, and for that we go for topping, so that we can have the side branches, and then appropriate stage of the harvesting must have detailed idea. Are you listening, please? Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I am listening, or keep on speaking.
Yes, sir. You are audible, and it is going great.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Then we have again the irrigation of this tomato, how and at what intervals and during what month, how much quantity of the irrigation that we have to be applied, and initially stays all these as a basal dose or as a split dose that we have to apply through drip as and then how much increase again, and then water saving we can have tomato, that have already discussed the basic point. And then you can see the tomato produce initially that we have harvested from a single stem system. In case of tomato, that we have by proper training. And you can see this space, I need to just the purpose to show you this slides, that by moving the lower leaves, so that we can have the less attack of insect pests and diseases on the lower stem, and then proper aeration. Otherwise, it may cause higher temperature, sometimes more humidity and emergence of more insect pests and diseases. And then how we can have the harvest from the lower leaves and low stem portion. And then performance like capsicum, you can make the comparison, some of the hybrids we can have, and you can harvest 313 means almost 300 tons, not quintals, produce, that we can achieve from a totally controlled polyhouse structures. And then we can have the average size of the fruits, and then from a single plant you can harvest around 66, but even you can have, we have the bunching type of the tomato, even the 100 fruits per vines. Then this period and the harvest duration you can manage by taking two crops under this almost year on, and then how much produce you can have this of tomato from the protected structures. And then different grades, we have small, medium, and the large. And the Indian standard of this bureau has specified the four grades like super fancy. But in case of this cherry tomato, we have the different, and then grafted it has the. Yes, a case study I just making the mention in 2004. You can see in the picture on the file. It's of the March 22. Before the have the this we can say the Prachalan, or for the we have in synthetic of this portraits and all that. It's a small tray, and in Germany, I personally raising this tomato nursery by procuring the soil from the pressed, free from all this chemical residue and all that, and how we are preparing it. And but it's available in the market. It doesn't mean कि मैं वहाँ pressed में था और वहीं से लाया, but it is readily available in the market. And then how we are putting a single seed at a proper distance, and how we are maintaining the identity of four different genotypes. The four white types might be visible to you, and then how we are raising this nursery. And then after that 10 days, and after that 1 month, and then after that we go for filling of these pots, and then how in a single pot we are transplanting a healthy seedling in each pot. Utmost care, and these are not hybrids, these are open pollinated varieties, because these people, they are very really, I am telling you, the concern about the functional food, from where we are getting the best nutrition, and then proper nutrition, rather balanced nutrition. They are not concerned with the uniformity and size and shape, but they are more after this best quality food. And we can also, for we have also people here concerned about the health, white collar class, and then but we have the biggest the thing that we are facing is the population pressure. So sometimes it's very difficult to have even one time vegetable and all that. So after that, you can see the pots that filled with the single plant we have transplanted in this misting chamber, and you can see the pots, and under the pots we have a 2 or 1 centimeter thick this cotton layer, a mat, kind of mat, and we are applying the water to the mat, not to the pots, from the upper portion. And then how the plant itself absorb the water from the lower portion, and after that we can have a vigorous crop plant stand, even 45 days older, and then it's really ready to transplanting in the protected structure. You can see these protective structures. This is a PhD scholar at that time working with me from Russia, and I was looking after only the laboratory component, that the phytochemicals and antioxidant assessment from the different 100-year-olds of the variety, from where we are getting the fragrance, from where we are getting the lycopene, from where we are getting xanthophyll, from where we are getting the chlorophyll, from where we are getting the xanthophyll, and the different compound. And he is manually making the holes and transplanting the plants inside the protective structure. They have erected their protective structures in such a big way, because they are really blessed with such kind of the climate and then topography. It's a vast plain. इनके अंदर में JBC जा सकती है, and then tractor, then we can have the proper plowing and the leveling and all that. And after that, how he is making the holes for transplanting. They have designed their structure in such a way that we can have flowing through the tractors and all that. And a single plant, you can see the feeder roots and how they grow these plants, and then how they are transplanting it in protected structures. And then after that, you can see the different kind of the material they are using. They are not using even the plastics. They are using this the cotton sutli they have with them, this thread, and then two types of this. They have this lead of the drippers, very simple way, and then how they have maintained this drip irrigation system by applying both sides of the this row by adjusting this very low flow rate of the water, and then how they are tagging it with the roof of this protective structure is 8 feet from the sides and then 12 from the center, and then you can see that produce. We have four variety. I have not made the mention of all these varieties as very old varieties, 100-year-old varieties. The big one, you might be surprised to know that a single tomato that may weigh from 750 grams to 1.5 kilogram. 1500 grams. This is ananas variety. Means it is having the fragrance like our this pineapple. When we go into cut it the two halves, and then we have a very good fragrance. Then we have a lucullus. It's a very rich in the center one in this beta carotene. And then left one is a lutein. And then the right one, the green one, is totally ripe, but even after ripening, it remains green. And from there, they are getting this chlorophyll, and they take a blend of all these in their breakfast. You can see the time and then date of this harvest of this particular crop, and then they are not after this hybrids uniformity in size and shape and color, but for their of own use they are making in under protected structures. And then you can see the two halves how it looks like, and then how good it is in taste. And in Germany, the first one, the ananas tomato variety, is very soft while touching. They call it as a Friesen tomato. Some of you might be visited Germany. That Friesen means meat. It's just soft like meat. It's a Friesen tomato. Then you can see the totally mechanized sensor-based, the protective structures they have erected inside the poly house is totally mechanized. It is from Netherlands I have taken, but it is also now common in India, and bunching type of the tomato you can see. And they are laid out the pipes, and these flying pipes and the hot water is running, and then these pipes are also being used for carrying the trolley and for harvesting and for carrying all other operations, and then how they are making the coiling. And you can see the hundreds of fruits even on a single vine, and they go for the proper pruning. They retain in a single bunch only 8 pair, 4 pair, or 6 pair accordingly, and they can have a uniform produce. And you can see the different color tomato varieties, and then they call it as a wild wonders. This Netherlands is a big hub for Asian or American or for other continents, every planting material as well as for the export of the plant material, because they have very good storage facility over there, and then how they pack it and how they sell it to the farmers. Then the last one is the CEO of cucumber. I think it's maybe more exhausting to you people. We can have a break, but due to time paucity, it's not possible for me. How they are producing this parthenocarpic cucumber under the protected structures, the uniform, it's very juicy, and you can see the number of fruits on each and every node. So in in cucumber, if you have a little bit idea about the cucumber crop, so we have the different male and female flower. The right one followed by small rudimentary fruit is female one and male one. We are more concerned about this female one, and then the purpose of the male one is just to have the pollination. So this type of the varieties we can have how to produce a seedling, but in generally the cucumber, as how I discussed initially, it is a cross-pollinated vegetable. But when we have to have this tomato on the protective structures, then we can have the parthenocarpic cucumber. For that, we doesn't require any pollination or that is just put without fertilization. And then Kian variety and KUK9 is a very popular varieties being known. Again, the main points again that we have to follow, how we have to go for training, pruning, because it again bears multiple vines and pollination, and then again mulching and harvesting at the proper stage. How this flower development and fruit stages we have in cucumber in every day. Then for raising the tomato crop inside the protected structure, we have to raise initially the nursery. That maybe we are raising on the flat nursery bed or raise or maybe seedling in the pot raise on the polybags. But these days, these pot raise and polybags are very, very common. So in polybags, if we are raising it, then what kind of the material should be there? FYM, then one part of field soil and then sand. And then how much quantity and what should the size of this plastic bags and then how much is thickness and then how much this quantity of bags are required for this one. Then you can also use this all material by using the soilless material because we are facing the problem of the same thing that we are using time and again. So we are using sometimes the soilless material to raise the planting material, this cocoa peat, vermiculite, and perlite. In which proportion that we have to use, and then that portrays that we are using how much cells are there is commercially 187 or maybe more. So you can see the properly developed and healthy seedling of this uh, watermelon, and then you can see the full uniform growth of this proper young seedlings of the various cucurbits, means cucumber, bitter gourd, or maybe bottle gourd. And then this is bottle gourd seedlings that is ready, or cucumber. 25 to 20 days after sowing in the potteries, and you can see the feeder roots. But you have to have very, very specific about the transplanting in case of the cucurbits, because these roots of these cucurbits are they are full of water. It's not like the tomato and the capsicum. If feeder roots gets damaged, then it's very difficult to re-establish it. So in that case, you have to move in such a way of a proper hardening. Then after that, you go for transplanting inside the protective structures. The stakes, how we have staked it inside the protective structures, and then you can have the see the yielding potential, and you can make the comparison between the open and the field condition. Yes, the other side cucumber that is gating, it also cucumber fibers, but it's a different segment. And it's a very, very popular, and farmers really they are getting good returns and then earning a lot of this crop. It's a very, very crisp and very vitamin farmer in comparison to the. I'm just giving the reference of the farmers in Himachal Pradesh is from Solan district, and really I am telling you, he's earning a lot by growing two crops of these crops and these gherkins, and they have direct transported to the protect with the five stars hotels, and then he has no problem of transportation and all that. He is readily available, everything at his own in his field, and then he has no need to go here and there, and only the middleman and all those persons, those buyers, they come directly to him and then to produce such a very good trade. So this gherkin is also very, very popular, and then this high quality and uniform of this. Then some of these structures for growing the summer squash, what we call it as a zucchini, or we can have it under the tunnel. We have the problem of the frost and all that. These days it's being grown in Punjab with plastic low tunnels, and how we have to grow it as by leaving the proper space and all that by making it properly and then go for its raising. And that farmers, I'm just citing the example of the Gherkin, is also producing that summer squash zucchini under his own made naturally ventilated structures that he have procured. And then how he is raising that particular crop under protected structure, and you can see this summer squash. And then another substitute crop. It was in detail about all these three crops, but subsidiary crop during winter season under the naturally ventilated structures where we can have the crop or problem of this ripening and all that in case of tomato or in case of the capsicum. So during the lean period, particularly during the onset of the winter, when we have October onward till March, so during that days, the farmers they are producing this lettuce under this structure. I have mentioned here only this moment is also there, and multicolored are also there. And even the farmers, they are producing the coriander under these protected structures, and single bunch of 10 to 5 to 10 seedling, they are really earning 10 to 50, 50 rupees for that bunch. It's quite remunerative, but it depends upon how you are managing or how you are making. Then some of the basic constraints seen the very different type of the structures, very lucrative, all these fruits and all that. But the same way we have the various concentrations initially. If you are not in a position to grow that particular crop, otherwise you have that semi or fully automatic structures that initially go for some alternative. Then some interrupted and irregular supply. I just I'm giving you the example of some of the farmers, those who are producing this yellow and red capsicum. So when it was grown for the first time, then people they were not aware about its consumption and its market, and then really they have to throw it in the river and all that free of cost to the peoples. So now people they are more aware now during this COVID period. Everything you can produce and you can have market for everything. But initially, sometimes you have uninterrupted regular supply of this produce. For that you have to take all these things into the consideration. And then regarding the designing of the structures is still require little more attention as far as these different locations are concerned. And then that cladding material quality and availability that I already discussed in detail with you. And then some indigenous material, zone wise or region wise, that we can have readily available. Otherwise, initially we used to procure it from this Israel and Holland and some other good country where they are producing wonder. And then good indigenous or the suitable varieties or hybrids are resistant to various insect pests and diseases that mostly occur under the protected structures. And then exotic material that we are producing really is very, very costly. For that, our companies they are also working, or our government sector is also working good under for procuring their good or indigenous planting material for the farmers at a cheaper rate. Although the government is also providing subsidy to the farmers, but sometimes they are facing problem regarding the truthfulness of that particular seeds. And then we need some more search, location specific search exclusively for the greenhouse vegetable productions. Then strategies, although it's some lead to concentration, this constraints, but that I have already discussed. The cost effective should be there. Practices. If the farmers or person who are dealing, he must be well aware about the technology, how we have to be produce it and go for its fertigation, and then eco-friendly management of energy and control of the environment, all these things, and then how to be able to reduce the construction of the cost. And then the problems, the last month, the plastic generally we are using for the mulching purpose or cladding material, it's really causing nuisance. For that, we have to go look for the alternative that plastic should be the disposable or biodegradable plastic. Otherwise, it's a big threat for the coming years. Then I have given you some of the pictures or the photographs of my own experience that we are experiencing here. The farmers they can produce the garden fee during winter season under protected structure also. It is also possible, but you are not getting that much yield that we can have during the normal period here, even in the open field. But during winter time, when we have some problems of ripening of other fruits and all that, during that period you can make use of these structures for raising the garden fee, this matter. And then you can have this pea also branched in under protected structure. And then you can have this cabbage under the seed net. And then you can have the cultivation of this cauliflower under the seed net, you can see. And then multicolor segment, this nutraceuticals and the different colored segment that we have available, you can also make use of all these varieties and the practical cultivation as far as the precision farming or royalties as far as the health is concerned. And then in case same way we have the broccoli, different color segment. And then this one row, because I am working on the carrot and this is my favorite crop, so I have procured this picture from the Germany. So you can make the best use of how we can raise the soil and then go for the double row planting, and then you can have the maximum yield from this crop. And this is in a brief and all about this my topic. So thank you very much for your patience, and then it's really quite exhaustive, but for more detail you can have interesting still I have 5 minutes with me, and then I can you can supply the queries of your this question through mail, or you can put it in the chat box also. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for such an informative presentation. And again, it is a request to all the participants. If you have any query, then kindly write it in comment box. And your queries, I will forward to sir. And as we get the answers of the query, we will mail it to you. And
Sure, sure. Thank you very much. No
yeah,
problem.
thank you so much, sir. And I think these two lectures have paved the way to understand the precision agriculture. Before we begin the more technical details on precision agriculture, it is imperative to study the basics of agriculture. And you have rightly covered all the topics related to the basics of it, from the very basic to advanced. And there are lots of information and guidelines also in your presentation that I could see. And I think that all the participants would love to listen to this thing, and it would be really benefiting them. And we are expecting you to have here some time for
Sure,
physical
sure.
interaction.
But
Yes.
you inform me because in advance at least 15 days because I am not just saying, but we have really, really very, very hectic schedule
Yes, sir.
here and. In
And
rocket system, you know, we have very limited faculty and lot of pressure and so many engagements. So thank you very much. Please, so nice of you, and thanks indeed for giving me this opportunity to be here with you people. But definitely, I will try my best in future also.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Now it is an information to all the participants that we are about to end this session too. And in these two sessions, we were having the information on the basics of agriculture. I would say the two sessions were headed by the Master Blaster of Agriculture Technology, and they have shown all the techniques that are on ground, and the scientists working on those technologies. And these are the things which are really readily available to the farmers and the agriculturists in the country. So before we move ahead and we start talking about technologies further, so I think these two lectures would benefit you. And the recording of these lectures are available, will be available on our YouTube channel. The link for the same I will definitely mail to all of you. And in between, if you have any queries and you want to participate in any discussion, so you can simply raise your hand. There is a key for that. You can simply click on the gestures here, and then you can simply raise your hand like I am raising right now. So in that way, you would be knowing that you want to ask something or you have something to participate in the discussion. Okay, but I would say that it will be good if you keep it at the end of session. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have any queries, then we would love to have your queries and we would love to answer them as well. Now the third session, which is going to be headed by Dr. Pankaj Kumar Tyagi. So it will be taking you through the science of nanotechnology and its application in agriculture. So it is going to be very, very informative for all of you. And I would request all the participants to kindly join on time. And in morning, the start was little laggy, and I hope that everyone would support us in this. And I can see that session one and session two, the information that the scientists, both the professors have shared was worthy, and it was justifying the concept of precision agriculture, because we have undergone the basics of agriculture first, and now it is the time to understand more about the technologies and the other upcoming emerging technologies in this. So now it is a request to all the participants to kindly join back us at 3 p.m. And the link is going to remain the same for the session 3 as well. All the participants, I can see that some of the participants are joining very late in the session. So again, it is a humble request to all the participants to kindly join on time. We can give you a window of 15 to 20 minutes uh, as the session begins. Because if you are coming very late, then actually it is getting very difficult for the managers who are managing the team from our side to control that crowd. Okay, so Wish you a very good learning here, and we'll see you again at 3 p.m. Thank you. Now, all of you may leave this meeting, and you can join back using the same link. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I think Manju Mishra raised their hand.
Yeah, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Sir, is there any WhatsApp group?
No, ma'am, we haven't created any WhatsApp group, and actually, it is not very easy to jot down these many numbers. So we are actually managing it through mails. So I
Okay,
think
sir.
that you
So
will
where
find,
is
yeah.
the feedback link or quiz link? I can't see the chat option here.
No, there is a chat option. Let me just share my screen here, and then I will show you where
Yes,
the
sir.
chat
Please,
option is.
please, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
sir. I can see that.
Okay. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah,
Can
sir.
you
I
see
can
this?
see your screen.
Now here, I have just clicked on this point. You can also spot it in your team account, and then you will see you can easily reach to this. And here is the chat option. Okay, you can simply type anything here, and yeah, so this we can actually begin the conversation.
Sir, can you please repeat it? I can't see it. Please, sir.
Okay, let me just mention it again. On your team, you must be able to see this mark. Okay, you can follow my cursor.
Yes, sir. But I can't see that. I can't see that mark on my screen.
Okay,
I'm joined through my.
it must be somewhere on the left side, or if it is you're actually using a browser, then you can spot it somewhere on the top, and if you're using a team option, then you can find it at the bottom or in the left edge of the screen.
Sir, there are three dots, but in
No,
that
no,
dot, there is no option for.
not on that dots. Okay, we can do one thing, because since it is some technical issue, so actually at the end of session, I would request you to kindly raise your queries if it is convenient for you. So if
Okay,
it is
okay,
there,
sir.
okay,
Okay, okay,
because
okay.
sometime, yeah, and through mail also we are forwarding all the information to the participant, as well as far as the feedback is concerned. We are expecting a final feedback from the participant, and you can keep a record of all the sessions. If you want to, you have to say something. You can simply mail it back to me on my mail ID also, from which you have received the mail invitation mail. Okay, I hope
Yes.
that will be fine for you.
Okay, 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 sir. Okay, okay. But I will get the mail of feedback every day.
No, no. We are not expecting, like, we are not managing it in that way. We are expecting a feedback on the last day, and final assessment will also be on the last day. But yes, according to the demand of the speakers, they may take some quizzes in between. So we are just asking participants to be attentive in the lectures, so that if there is any such demand of the speaker that they want participants to participate in that discussion through quizzes or through question answer session. So for that, we are just requesting participants to be attentive in all the sessions. And
Hi, yes, sir. So
yeah,
if you're going to give the
yeah.
quiz in chat box, how I'm going to attempt that?
Okay, okay. No, I would request, in that case, I would request speakers to kindly give it a verbal kind of question answer session, or maybe if possible, then I may also forward it on email. Okay.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
you so much.
verbally I can give it. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Now,
you.
I would request you again to join back at 3 p.m.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sir, I will join at 3. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.